So there's been a ton of big gaming news this week relating to topics I've talked about recently, so I wanted to make a video going over all of it. Some of the announcements were things we already knew about, but there were a few genuine surprises as well. I'm currently working on the Mass Effect 2 Platinum review, so that video should be out at the end of next week, early week after that at the latest, so make sure you're subscribed to see that as soon as it comes out. With that out of the way, let's get into the gaming news. We finally saw some extended gameplay of Horizon Forbidden West in a PlayStation Direct on Thursday. Instead of seeing a short, pre-rendered trailer that tells you nothing about the game, it's so nice to see Sony actually show gameplay and let the game talk for itself. I hope this is a trend we see spread in the gaming industry in general, as it really was a nice breath of fresh air. We got to see a variety of different new and returning gameplay mechanics, and graphically speaking, it looks amazing. I still can't believe how many gameplay mechanics they crammed in the game, as they added in new features like a grappling hook, glider, underwater swimming, and more. The one surprising thing is that we did not get a release date, and while Sony continues to say the development is on track, it's still entirely possible that the game will get delayed until next year. Personally, I'd rather they delay the game if they need to and make it the best it possibly can be, instead of rushing it out and forcing the developers to crunch. I think almost everybody will be understanding given the current circumstances, and we've already seen a ton of other games get delayed, so there would be no shame in it. That said, it is a cross-gen title, so I would imagine they wanted to come out sooner rather than later to get a high amount of sales on PS4. I've been meaning to platinum Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm waiting for a 60 FPS patch on the PS5, although I'm starting to get worried that one will never come. Maybe they'll put one out closer to Forbidden West launch date to build up hype, but as of now they have not shared any details. In other exciting news, Uncharted 4 got a confirmed PC release in a rather unusual manner. Not too long ago, I did a video on 5 PlayStation games that need to be ported to PC, and the Uncharted collection was one of them, with hope that they would eventually also release Uncharted 4 on PC as well. The announcement came through a Sony financial report on PlayStation's success and where they want to take it in the future. Rather unceremoniously, people found Uncharted 4 listed under Days Gone as future planned PC releases. I'm still somewhat surprised that they are choosing to release 4 first instead of the collection. However, the slide only showed 2 games, and we already know Sony is planning to release many more games on PC in the future, so there's still a possibility that the Uncharted collection will come to PC before or at the same time as Uncharted 4. Regardless, I'm really excited to see it come to PC, and I think it's a great move on Sony's part. I just wish I had a PC that could handle it, as at this point I'm probably going to have to wait till the next generation of graphics cards to come out before I can actually buy one. The financial report went over a lot of other things as well, and while I won't be going over everything, I did want to talk about a few key takeaways from the presentation. 2020 was a record year in earnings for PlayStation, although given how everyone was stuck indoors, that comes as no surprise. I'm sure 2021 will also be a huge year for gaming companies as well, but 2022 things will probably start coming back down to reality. It seems like PlayStation 5 has had the best launch year in terms of sales of any PlayStation console so far, beating out the PlayStation 4 by 200,000 units. It's interesting to imagine how well the new consoles and graphics cards would have sold without the pandemic. I'm sure they still would have sold extremely well, but it's hard to imagine demand would have been this insanely high. There's a lot of other information, too much for this video, but it does seem like most indicators point that PlayStation is doing very well as a brand. I do think the pandemic played a huge role in its success, and of course, the hype carried over from the PlayStation 4 generation. Given that, I think Sony is going to have a harder time competing with Microsoft and Nintendo going forward, and midway through the console generation, we might see Microsoft either match or slightly beat Sony. It really depends on the quality of the exclusives though, so only time will tell. Okay, with all of the Sony news out of the way, we actually got a bit of Nintendo news as well. More reports are pointing to a Switch Pro release, and it's coming sooner than we all thought. The report comes from Bloomberg and then was corroborated by Eurogamer as well, and states that we will get an announcement of the Switch Pro as early as next week before E3 starts. The reasoning being so that publishers can fully show off the Nintendo Switch Pro enhanced titles at E3 and other events that are happening before Nintendo's presentation. This is one rumor that just won't go away, as we've seen it time and time again. And the fact that 2 generally reliable websites were able to independently confirm this news makes me think that it's probably true. I mean, even if it doesn't get announced next week, a Switch Pro will be coming out sometime soon. I love my Switch, but it's having real difficulty keeping up with previous gen consoles, let alone the new ones. Granted, all games would have to be compatible with both versions of the Switch, so they couldn't go too crazy with the first-party titles, but it would give them the chance to port over all new third-party titles. The Bloomberg report says that it could come out in September or October, and I have to wonder how many units will be available at launch. Given the semiconductor shortage isn't going away anytime soon, supply could be a real issue. The new console will be priced higher, but I don't see that doing anything for demand. I'm personally pretty excited as long as they put out 1080p 60fps patches for older games so we can replay them all. Without that, it wouldn't be as exciting, but I'll still be buying it as soon as I can. The one thing I'm thinking is that if they release it this year, you gotta think Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be a launch title. I mean, they have had a history of doing that with Zelda titles before, so it's entirely possible that that could happen again. We'll again find out at E3 in just a couple weeks. In Pokemon news, we got release dates for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. They're coming out November 19th this year and do seem to be the big holiday releases. Considering this release date, it really makes me think that if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't get announced alongside the Switch Pro release, we might have to wait till next year or who knows, even longer, but you would think they are not going to release them at the same time and make them compete at each other. They definitely want to have at least a few months separating them so, you know, again, they don't want their own games competing against each other. Surprisingly, Pokemon Legends Arceus was also given a release date of January 28th, 2020, which was much earlier than I anticipated. Given how it looked to be in a proof of concept phase when we saw it revealed just a few months ago, I am very worried about it being rushed. And when I looked at Twitter, it seems like a lot of people share my sentiment. As for Diamond and Pearl remakes, it's actually the only Pokemon generation that I've never played, so I'll probably be grabbing it at least for a review. Personally, I can't stand that art style, but if you like it, it's, subjective taste. That's perfectly fine. But it just looks really cheaply made. Like, it looks like it could have been a 3DS game and not a full home console release, especially if there is a Switch Pro. That would kind of exacerbate the issue. You just make it that much worse. Also, given the extreme overpricing and the fact that there's 2 editions, each costing $60, making it cost $120 for the full experience, I'm not exactly thrilled about buying it, even though I will probably enjoy the games. Like I said, I've never played them before, and they are from a time when I think Pokemon games were generally very, very good. So I can imagine this one will also be good. It's a remake of a good game. There's just so much more they could have done with it. As I outlined in a video I did a few weeks ago, which I'll link in a card, I just wish they put some more effort into the games they made. The franchise has such amazing potential, yet they seem to want to do things as cheaply as possible. Lastly, we got some Dragon Quest news. Dragon Quest XI was announced, and while we didn't see any gameplay, we did get some details. Apparently, this game will be a more adult experience than previous games, and will give players choice about how they want to play. Also, while it didn't go into any details, it seems like there will be an updated battle system. I doubt it will stray too far from the turn-based combat path, but maybe we'll see some new bells and whistles on it, and personally, I'm pretty interested to see it. I enjoyed Dragon Quest XI, and I went back and I actually played Dragon Quest I, which was pretty fun. I've really been meaning to get the Dragon Quest remakes on the DS, but they are insanely priced. Like, I really want to get them. I think you can get a couple of the ones that were released on 3DS digitally, but the ones that were on the DS, they are just way too much money. A Dragon Quest III remake was also announced, which will be using 2.5D like an Octopath Traveler. Personally, I love the look of that game, and as long as the price is reasonable, I can see myself grabbing this one. Well, that's all for this week. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about, basically everything. Are you excited for Forbidden West and Uncharted 4 on PC? What new features would you like to see in the Switch Pro? And if you're a Dragon Quest fan, let me know if you're interested in the 3 remake, or if you think Dragon Quest XII needs an updated battle system, or maybe they should just keep things the same. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning, I'm working on the Mass Effect 2 Platinum review at the moment, and actually really excited for it. I do have a couple other scripted videos about the gaming discussions in general as well that I am planning, so I am definitely looking forward to releasing those as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.